Flosstube, welcome back to my channel. You found Lala D Stitches, and this is where we talk about cross stitch and occasionally other stitchy things. So I'm so glad you're here, and let's just dive right into it. My brain is a bit scattered, as seems to be the usual, though perhaps a little bit more so because we've had quite a whirlwind last 24 hours. It's been a bit crazy in the Pacific Northwest. We have had flood warnings and rain, and last night we had a pretty epic windstorm which took out the power. So I am filming más rápido so that just in case the power goes out again, because it's been off and on, and I would just hate for it to cut in the middle of a brain thought, right? Anyways, so we're going to try to get this filmed. I've had a busy couple of weeks. I had my sister and her husband in town, which was oh so lovely, over the Halloween weekend pretty much. And we went to Threadneedle Street, as we must always do when we're together, find some kind of crafty shop. We went, what did we do? We didn't actually go a lot of places, but we were just busy here. We played games, and on Halloween we wished that trick-or-treaters were coming, but it was pouring buckets, and I don't blame people for not stopping by. So we wound up with 0 trick-or-treaters and a full bowl of candy, and we just had a party all on our own. We had good food though, and we watched all of our favorite classics. Like one of my favorites growing up for Halloween, favorite movies growing up, was the what's it called? Ichabod Crane, Sleepy Hollow, with Bing Crosby, the animated little feature that has The Adventures of Mr. Toad before it. It's so silly and delightful, and and we totally watched it because why not? And we watched the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special, and the Addams Family, and Hocus Pocus, and you know, it was traditional Halloween. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We just had some really good quality time together, and I'm so grateful for that time. But right before that, my husband and I went out and celebrated my cousin's birthday. Her birthday is on Halloween, and so we did something a few nights before, knowing that we would be busy on Halloween night. And we went to what are they called? It was a haunted corn maze, and it was spooky. Spooky. It was fun though. It wasn't quite what I pictured. I definitely had this image of giant dark maze in a cornfield, find your way out. And it was more of a guided people jump out and scare you kind of thing. And there was no risk of getting lost or not finding the exit, which is a good thing, I suppose. But I was kind of looking forward to the challenge of a big maze like that. I've never done any corn mazes before, which is ridiculous, having grown up with many farms around the city I grew up in. But I just haven't. It just wasn't something we did as a tradition. So it was a lot of fun. While not what I expected, it was definitely a fun evening, and then we went out to dinner, and I just feel like the whole evening was a hit. Hopefully she felt the same way, since it was her birthday. Yeah, anyway, so for us, that's a busy social life, and so things have felt busy. And then my sister and her husband left town, and within 24 hours we have mega storm. Welcome to fall, everybody. It's here and in charge, and most of our trees are now naked, which is crazy because just a couple days ago they were full of these beautiful golden and red leaves, and now all the leaves are on the ground. So the wonderful thing about drippy days is lots of stitching time, and so I feel like I made a lot of good progress before my sister came into town. We did stitch one afternoon, But the rest of the time, we just hung out and it was wonderful. But not Stitchy, other than shopping for Stitchy. So I do have some haul at the end. Unfortunately, because we were just so busy enjoying each other's company, we completely spaced filming a little clip together, which I'm sad about. We had talked about it right after she got here in the dark of the night, and both of our tired brains agreed that it would be fun to do. And then 3 days passed and it didn't happen. So, there's life for you. But hopefully next time we're together, we're trying to find a way to be together around Christmas. We've got a couple of passes between us and winter coming. Winter is coming. And in fact, in Spokane yesterday, my sister is now in Spokane with my parents, and she sent me pictures. They had snow on the ground in the morning. What? I know a lot of people got snow over this last week as temperatures have dropped and stuff, but it's just crazy to see. We have not had any here, and our hope of a little bit of a snowy flurry in the sky that was forecast a few days ago has since disappeared from the forecast. So no snow yet, which is okay. I love snowy weather. There's something absolutely magical about big fluffy flakes flying from the sky, and the hush of a winter's day is, I don't know, that's something special to me. I really treasure those things. But that being said, I don't like how people drive on the roads when it's snowy. As I've gotten older, I've become more cynical about people's ability to drive in the snow, especially since I moved from somewhere where everybody pretty much knows how to drive in the snow to the part of the world where it is less common and people have less experience. And while I understand that, I still find them terrifying. Anyways, so I'm okay with no snow. I'm just enjoying that it is beautiful fall and that it's cold enough that I can turn on my fireplace, which is this weird, challenging thing to do. This is the first time having a fireplace of any kind in one of our homes. It's a gas fireplace, and it has been fickle, to say the least, which is unfortunate because it is our only source of heat for the main living space, kitchen area in our apartment. Ugh, it's been a battle, you guys. Truly a battle. But I won said battle about halfway through yesterday, a few hours before the power went out. Which, fortunately, it's natural gas. It wasn't affected by the power, but yeah. Oh, did I mention we lost power? I may have. I may not have. Windstorm came in last night. It was craziness. Yeah, I think I mentioned the windstorm because I mentioned the leaves falling down. But we lost power. And it's surprising. So Gracie, my sweet little dog, who is down there right now, she is having a hard time with the change of the seasons, and it is affecting her willingness to do her business in a timely manner on the schedule we have set, if that makes sense. And she's always been so good about it. So it's very frustrating to have her hem and haw as it is cold or raining or windy. And last night she absolutely refused to do anything, which, I can't blame her. It was 55-mile-an-hour winds swirling around us. And when I went out after the power had gone out, because naturally she hadn't wanted to do her business before when the weather was more mild, so we had to bring her out later before we went to bed. And oh my goodness, she thought it was the apocalypse, which, from a dog's perspective, I can kind of see it kind of felt a little apocalyptic to us too, because everything was dark. You could see the lights of the cars on the freeways because we're kind of up on a hill and there's a highway up ahead a few miles away. And so you could see the traffic going there, but everything else was absolutely dark, which, for those of you who live in a city, that is an anomaly. It is very rarely a true deep dark in city because there are city lights. There's that ambient glow. And there was still towards Seattle. But our area was it was deeply dark, and there were just the occasional windows with little candle flickers, and the wind was howling, and the trees were knocking together. They were just making these big cracks as they would hit because it was blowing so hard. And then there was the lightning. And some of the lightning, I swear to God, was blue and green. And the logical part of my brain is like, okay, maybe that's like a generator or a transformer or something blowing out, because obviously there was no power. That had happened somewhere. But when you don't see the actual source of the blue light, that's eerie, with the wind howling and the trees knocking and the dog refusing to do her business because apocalypse, and we hustled our buns inside pretty quickly because nothing productive was going to happen, and it was a bit spooky. Thrilling, but spooky. I mean, I've always enjoyed a good storm, but I have enough brain cells that I know when it's safer inside. Anyways, it was an exciting night, and nobody slept well. And the power has been unpredictable. And anyways, let's talk about cross stitch. With all of that preamble, I want to kind of put a cap on a final review and then a cap on my spooky stitching, which I was fairly exclusive on. It was very hard as I saw people starting to branch into, oh, they've had snow, they'll do their winter stitches, or just plain dropping Halloween and jumping into Christmas, and it was so hard to not join the party because Christmas has such pretty happy colors and I really want to stitch on it. But I had goals and I was trying very hard to stick to my goals, and so I did. I was a good girl. And I stuck to my Halloween. But I kind of ditched a couple of other things in favor of Halloween, and I definitely ditched my schedule. And as long as it was Halloween, I just let myself stitch on whatever spoke to my heart that day. Anyways, so it was kind of fun. It was a more relaxed, I don't know that it was necessarily, bang, as things fall down. I don't know that it was necessarily my most effective way of doing things, because I've been very organized for the last few months and it's been effective. Like, I know I work on a lot of things, but I make good progress on those things when I stick to my schedule. So branching away from that felt traitorous to my organized soul. Anyways, but it was good. It's okay to break from the mold, right? Like, these are goals. They are not like do or dies. It's okay if it's fudgy and flexible. Okay, so my spooky stitches. Barbara Anna Black Cat Hollow, which looks like this in theory, is so dang cute. And you can see something I'm going to talk about is there's very fine detail. There's like a little moon and a stars and lots of little bloopy stars that are very, very soft gray. And that became a bit of a debate for me. In fact, I didn't stitch them at all because it became such a debate for me. So where we started, and I was chronically bad about taking like a before I started stitching picture this week. I got a few in, but we're gonna fudge it a little bit. So this was actually supposed to be an Instagram post that I forgot to put up. But you can see I had the beginnings of my rail, a little bit of grass, this, which I then had to rip out because I had missed 3 stitches in this vertical part of the stem. There was some frogging this week. It's okay. We can learn patience. Anyways, I made good progress. I did not meet my goal of completing the whole first row. That turned out to actually be very ambitious. And part of that was because I ditched it for something else, which I made excellent progress on. But this is where we are. Pretty much got I think I did get all of the black done for the top row. This witch, I shouldn't even tell you this because nobody would ever know, but she's squatty. And I left her that way because it will work with everything else once I corrected this. It was definitely one of those moments where I based her counting off of what I was reading here rather than actually reading the chart. It's like playing music on the piano and sightseeing and just fudging the rhythm to what you've heard in like pop culture rather than what the music actually says. I'm a professional at that. I've gotten better over the years, but apparently my cross stitch, I am still making up my own rhythms. And so I did correct this, but I left my little squatty witch because there are tall people and there are short people, and let's represent, right? Also, I didn't have to rip it out. These will be pumpkins. I didn't get into any of the oranges. But I'm really happy with I still love this willow tree. It just turned out so cool and has all the vibes. When I lived in Mississippi, there were a lot of trees that had the Spanish moss hanging from them, and I always found them absolutely fantastic. They were just so atmospheric. They're beautiful. They move in the wind, and I don't even have the words to describe them. It was just so unique to anything I had seen up to that point in my life. And oh, hi, Grace. Anyways, this reminds me of the trees in the South with the Spanish moss hanging from them. And so I love it. And my grass turned out so good. I swapped it out. If you remember, it calls for this kind of, well, actually, it calls for the color of the trunk of the tree. It's supposed to be the grass, which I'm sure looks fantastic. But I wanted it to be a bit more grassy, so I switched it for Pea Pod Classic Colorworks, and I love how it turned out. Anyway, so really good progress, considering that at the start of the season, all I had was a little bit of this, period. Made good progress, right? Yeah. Okay. Now we move on to the blue flower, and it's called Halloween Parade. Here's my where we started picture. And at the start of the season, all I had was the beginnings of this tree, nothing else. So when we met last, I was here. I had added in our little floating dog, our cute little, trying to say two animals at the same time is kind of a mind twister. Our peacock cat. Okay, yes, brain is working a little bit. And I feel like that's really good progress, even if I hadn't done anything else. But my cute little project bag. Here is where we landed. So I added in this, I don't know, this is a chameleon cat, an iguana cat, some kind of lizardy spine-backed cat. You can make it up. I have to say, when I started stitching this in, I did not see the face on this cat. I was like, what is wrong with this cat? He's just blobby. But when you back up, you can see he's a cute little Siamese cat, and there is actual shape to his face. I had talked about maybe switching out her color of her dress to a plum, but when I pulled in better light, the called for color, it has a very purplish cast and it shows up great on my linen. So I just went with it, and I'm very happy with how she's turning out. Our little witch lady. I think she's a witch. I don't know. She could just be dressed up for Halloween, just like her critters. But anyway, it's turning out really fun. I'm excited. And frankly, I would say just on density of stitching, I'm probably between 30 and 50% done with this. So there's a strong possibility that it will either get finished next year or be finished by next year, because I do have some plans to stitch seasonally out of season. I know, it makes a lot of sense. To continue having 1 or 2 seasonal stitching days through each month to try to make progress on my projects. Okay, next one is called Sleepy Hollow, and I love this one. Oh, this is not a digital picture for the original. Let's find it. Here we go. Oh, people like to see my project bags. This is my Thimble Blossoms one. Old school style. It's fantastic. And here is Sleepy Hollow, what it will be. And I really do love this one. I love how it's turning out on my linen, and I'm just really enjoying stitching it. It's pretty easy stitching so far. Like, I haven't had any major flubs, which for how October has gone is pretty remarkable. It's been flub city. Okay, this one is on, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the linens on the last two. But this one is Belfast linen, 32 count, in the color smoky white. And apparently I've tucked things in, so let me get this under control. Oh, my card. That's what I'm missing. Well, just get it out of the drawer here. Oh, that'll be so much better. All right. So much better as I drop it. Okay. Oh, I didn't show you where we started. Fiddle. Here's where we started. And this was a new start this month. So everything that you see on this stitch is October stitching. So for me, this is fantastic progress. I mean, it's almost 50%. I'm missing a cat and I think one more pumpkin down here and then a couple of leaves. Okay, some details. I'm missing some details, but it's coming a long way. And it's, like I said, it's been really fun. I think this is one of the first 2 I will carry into my extra spooky stitching days, because I really want to see this one. In a perfect world, I'd like to see this one completed by next autumn so that I could have it up, because I really, really like it. I added one more drippy bat, and this is going to be a spider. He's legless right now. He's asleep or something. I think this is a spider as well. And this was the beginnings of that center sign. This project, I was surprised how satisfying putting in this little corner of border is. I think the border is going to be very effective on this project to just contain all these loose little detail bits. When I added this, I just wanted to keep going. It was the end of the night and I wasn't going to be stitching much longer, so I think I finished a length of floss and then stopped. But I'm very excited about how that will frame everything. There's a black, then it goes gold, and then black again. So just a little 3 stitch deep border around the entire project. Anyway, I think it'll be really cool. It'll be really effective. Apparently this is the video where I hum in between every project. Which is weird. I'm having a weird ear thing happening right now, actually. I don't know what's causing it. It just cropped up yesterday. So I was wondering if maybe it wasn't atmospherics. You know how sometimes pressure can, mess with your body. Pressure changes, and there were certainly a lot of pressure changes. But it's continuing today, so I don't know. Low sounds are almost painful, and my ears are just like plugged feeling. I don't know. Okay, this one is the one that I kept getting sucked into because it was so much fun to stitch on. And I was just flying through it. It's not done, but this is Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Spooky Halloween Stitch Along, I think is its name. And that's where we were, which was big progress because, oops, what did I touch? No, go away. Uh-oh. No. There we go. Okay. When we started, all I had was an incomplete first little box and then this upper part of the border. It wasn't super thrilling. It was a solid start, but it wasn't, it just wasn't thrilling. But it is now because, oh my goodness, dun 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 dun, drum roll. Look at it. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, we'll let it drop. It's so fun. So obviously I've done these two squares. They are complete. This one, I was so tired. It was so late, but I had finished this little box frame and I was like, oh my goodness, I could start the little ninja. So I started the ninja and then I wound up just stitching all of the black for that block. But the frame is complete, which is amazing because it's so lacy and detailed and I love it with the little bats and the skulls and there's all these fun little details in there. And then the magic of it actually meeting up without any errors at the end. That was a thrill in itself. Anyways, I'm very, very tickled with how this is turning out. I think it's going to be so cute. It is the first one I will continue to focus on. I will have this done by next Halloween. And I'm thinking of putting it on a pillow for a finish. I think it would be a super cute pillow because it's not very big. It's 8 inches square, I think, something around that. I mean, this is just a little back of a notepad. So, 8.5 by 11, and it fits in the, it fits in the dimensions of the paper, the cardboard or whatever this is. Anyways, it would be a cute pillow. If I could find the right fabric to give it a little frame. Now I'm on the hunt. But first things first, we have to finish the last 3 blocks, which really, the blocks themselves go really quickly when you focus. Focusing is good. Okay. Let's go this way. So the next one I worked on, at this point in my stitching, Halloween had come and gone, and as I promised before, because I knew I would do this, I dropped Halloween like a hot potato, but I kept it seasonal. Still. And I seem to have lost my... Oh, I think I have a paper picture for this one. I get going on this and I think that everything's in my tablet and then it's not. Okay, so Halloween came and went and I decided to work on Autumn Town a bit. And I was originally thinking I would run up this first side and kind of finish our tower of houses. And I'll probably go that way again. But I did a little bit of this tan color for the house and I was like, ugh, boring. And so I started a tree instead. Because, that's how we roll. It's stitching out interestingly. So I'll show you this gorgeous silk first. You can see the colors. It is absolutely beautiful. Orange into green, and there's just a little hint of brown as well, a golden brown. Very, very leafy. I'm very happy with the color itself. But if you're with me for the first time, I ran into a supply chain issue when I was kitting this up. I'd found the perfect linen, but then I couldn't find most of the called for silks. So I just went to the shop, and I'm sorry, these are all in plastic baggies, but I just picked things that read fall foliage to me, and just figured I would try to find a spot for it because I loved them and I thought they went with all of the other colors. So what I did was, sorry for all my rustling here. Oh, this is this bag. Oh, my little kitty cats with strings. Yeah. I make my own bags, so, and I don't always show them. So what I've done is I've taken the first little quadrant of the pattern and I have drawn loose shapes, loose diagrams of the trees, and I am substituting with, I fall in love with colors. I also have sunshine in my eyes. Excuse me one moment. Okay, there we go, that's better. I fall in love with colors, and oops, I'm sorry, Gracie. Surprise! The paper just floated down and goes clonk right on her sleeping face, poor thing. She's looking around the world like, what has happened? All I was doing was trying to sleep. Okay. Anyways, I have more silks than are strictly called for. So, and I don't want to sacrifice any of them. I want to use them all. So I am just choosing trees, basically, to insert my silks into as a substitution for the called for silks. And a couple of trees that were not originally silks will now be silks. There are a couple of like orange trees, like 2 orange trees next together. One of those trees will wind up being a silk tree, just to break them up, but get all of my variety in there. So I've done this one. That's the called for, I believe it's Cosmo. This is my first silk tree, and I came into this tree. And I started stitching it, and honestly, you guys, my first thought was, it looks like an Argyle sweater. All I could think was like my dad's sweaters. Oh, I don't know. And then I had quotes from the Santa Claus rolling through my head. Nice sweater, Neil. Anyways, but as I step back from it, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I've tried to make it so it's not just lines. Like, I will come and group some of the orange here. I'll stitch out of order to make the color fall more clumpy rather than linear. Anyways, I think it's gonna be really good. I'm actually liking it. I was hesitant when I got the first little bit in. I wasn't sure I liked it, but now I do. I think it's gonna be really, really cool. Oh, and they're so pretty in person. Like, the camera cannot do them justice. So pretty. And I love my linen. This is a parchment from, I want to say Picture This Plus, but it might be Fiber on a Whim. Let me see if I can find my little card. More rustling, I apologize. Fiber on a Whim, parchment, Fiber on a Whim, and it's a 32 count. So it's slightly smaller than the pattern calls for, which was purely accidental. I just saw the color and I was like, it's perfect. And I grabbed it. Okay, so that was good progress. Okay, this one has, I don't know that it's great progress. It's one of the ones I did not get a before picture on. So I decided what we would do on this one is go to where we started when I picked it up this year. So when I first brought this out of cold storage, let's talk about what it is first. This is going to be Stargazer, which if you follow my Instagram, I've been doing a few update posts through the last couple of weeks with it because I am adoring stitching on it. And during the week leading up to Halloween, I dropped it. I really just worked on Halloween, and I also dropped Into Dreamland. I did not work on that on Sunday. I worked on Halloween instead. So that one I'm not even going to show this week because I didn't do anything on it. I do plan on working on it tomorrow, but Stargazer I pulled out yesterday and the day before because I just wasn't feeling the autumn town, I guess, really. I didn't really want to work on anything else. So when I pulled it out of cold storage, this is where we were. I had had her torso done, her face done, no back stitching. The ribbons were incomplete. It was beginning to become really beautiful, but it wasn't what it is now. So in the last month and a half, this is the progress because I don't know how much I did this week. Oh, she's so beautiful. So the ribbons are now complete. Her back stitching is done. I am really focusing on this front part of her skirt right now. There's been a lot of fill-in little fiddly stitches. But for one color, I believe that down to here, it's complete. I ran out of it and I need to run to the store ultimately to get more. So I've just been working with what I have. So we have a few holes still. I really wanted to get it filled in up to this point, but like I said, I just didn't have the colors. So you do what you can. And I certainly had other colors to work with. So I started dropping into this. This is such a cool part of her skirt. I'm really excited because it's like it drapes here and then it flares out in this almost like kick pleat kind of effect. It's going to be so satisfying to watch grow. I'm very excited. She is on a 32 count mystery linen. I don't have any information beyond that, I'm afraid. It's I kitted this up over 13 years ago and have only gotten around to it in the last couple of years. So I just don't, I didn't keep track of that information back then, and I don't know what it is. But she's turning out spectacular on it. I'm very, very excited. I think I will continue trying to get her to the point of all the floss is done, and then I don't have her beads yet, so I'll probably have to put her away for a while until I can get her beads and continue at that point. But we've got quite a bit of more stitching before that becomes an issue. Okay, so this one I tried ever so hard to save for haul, but I was too excited. And the period between Halloween and Thanksgiving, I am already feeling, you know, that pinch you get through the season, this last couple months of the year, where there's just so much you want to do. I mean, oftentimes there are so many necessary demands on our time, but then we add in all of these desired plans as well. Like we want to fulfill this winter bucket list of nostalgia and family, and they're all good things, but it can very quickly become an overwhelm rather than a source of joy. And I am already feeling my time filling up. And it's not beyond the point of joy yet, but I'm starting to feel it. Anyways, it's such a short period between Halloween and Thanksgiving that I didn't want to wait, so I started it. Instead of haul, it's a new start. So this is, everybody's seen the current run of Cottage Garden animals, and they are spectacular, and I've purchased a few, and I have plans to purchase a few more. But this one I found last year. I believe it was part of last year's series, A Time for All Seasons. I think that's the run they did last year. Yes, it's 2021. So I must have gotten it right when it was new. And I knew that the season was encroaching and I wouldn't have time to do it. And seasonal stitcher that I am, I bought the pattern and tucked it away with dreams of doing it. And I've been kind of watching for linen, hoping to start it this year, but I hadn't seen anything that was really what I wanted. I wanted something similar to the model, but not necessarily the same, because that's the way I roll, is change it up. Anyways, while my sister and I were at Threadneedle Street this week, we had fun, and I found a linen that it's so vastly different from the model. The model has these beautiful, there's subtle golds and blue grays, and it's very subtle, and it's light. It's light, right? So everything really pops from it. And this is the linen I found, which is much darker. But oh my goodness, when I saw it, and these oranges, and they go into, oh my goodness, just these blue grays in a deeper version of them, almost Confederate grays. It's so beautiful, and I could just see it. And so we started pulling floss. We're like, okay, well, let's do a floss toss just to make sure that the colors work. And when we got to the blues, it was very, very bright, and did not love that. So then we pulled all the colors, and I knew instantly that I wanted to swap the blues. So instead of going to DMC, I went right to the overdyes because they're beautiful, and found this one, which fits the linen. It's super pretty, and of course goes a little bit lighter in spots than a solid, but that's the nature of overdyes. That's one of the beautiful things, and it's all contained in other colors of stitching, so it's not going to blend into this too much. But I didn't love this color for the head, because to me, at least from the picture, the head reads a little more purpley than the tail feathers do. So sent my sister out, and she found this one, which is all snarly because I've been using it. But oh my goodness, it's called Blueberry, and isn't it blueberry? It is so beautiful. And so I decided that'll be the tail feathers, that'll be the head. They work together, they work with the linen. And then it just was like a snowball from there. We found this gorgeous color, and that's gonna be, I'm gonna swap that out for the veins in these leaves, which are in the chart the same color that these variegated feathers are up here, which is called maple syrup. And that is a spectacular floss. It is absolutely gorgeous. But, okay, I can't hold everything. But when I got some of these leaf colors up next to up next to that one, it just works. And so I wanted it somewhere in there. It's another one of those things where I fell in love with the colors because it's yummy, and I'm like, okay, now I have to find a spot for it because I can't get it out of my head. So I found a spot for it, and it'll be awesome. And I did get a start on this yesterday. I wanted his head done so badly, so it would be like this really cool thing, but it's really just his nose. I don't know what the flesh hanging off the nose is called. I don't think it's the gobbler. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, so I got his long neck mostly done. He has some darker colors that shadow around here. And then that blueberry face, which turned out perfect. And you're not really seeing, unfortunately, the subtlety of, well, there you can see it a little bit, how it goes. You know when you bite into a blueberry, this is one of the reasons I love this floss so much. When you bite into a blueberry, and the meat of a blueberry is pretty boring. It's not colored, but the flesh of the blueberry, it's the funniest thing. It's such a fine, delicate surface, but when you bite into a blueberry, you get that pinker color on the edge of the skin of the blueberry, and that's how you get some of those variations of colors in. Anyways, I'm rambling about color and fruit skin. But it's one of the reasons that I connected with this floss. When my sister pulled it out, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so gorgeous, the way it pops, and you can just see the different parts of a blueberry in the dye of the floss. Anyways, there you go. Color nerd. Anyways, I think it's going to be gorgeous. I have all this floss. It's such a mess because I just pulled it out of my thing, but I want to work on this heavily for the next couple of weeks. For one, I'm enjoying it. It's on a 28 count. Oh, I didn't tell you what the fabric is. It's a 28 count something. I've got it here. Ugh, under all of the everything. It's a mystery. Oh, this is what I do when I switch things up a lot. I will just make myself a new key because only half of the colors were swapped out to match my linen and just kind of the vision I had for it and my color addiction. So I just made a new key, and this one doesn't have a mark here because I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with the original or if I'm going to swap that one out yet. And either way I decide, once that decision is made, it will go into my key. But it's a nice way to keep it straight. I just slide it in with my project and then refer to it when I am swapping colors. I am now beginning to think that I did not keep my fabric information with my project. I will figure this out and get back to you. I would go digging for it, but it's going to be in my fabric stash in that little red cubby down there. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a little red cubby down there if you can't see it. And it's like a pinky red, but that's not important. Oh gosh, the details. Anyways, I will figure out what that fabric is called. It's really cool. And I bought a fat quarter of it and then wound up only needing half of that piece. So I just tucked the information with the piece that's not being used. And I thought I had written it down, but apparently not. So that's what I stitched on. That's everything I stitched on this week. So I'm really proud of myself, proud of the progress I made. And since my last project kind of was half stitching, half haul, let's move right into haul since I actually have some this time. My sister and I fell in love with this one, Satsuma Street. The colors, again, and I've said this about her designs before, she uses bold, vivid colors that just, they have this vibrancy when put together. It is rainbow exploded on fabric and I love it. I love how she puts it together. These birds are fantastic. And I already stuck a little piece of linen in there. It's not a true black, but I think it'll be great. I think the colors will still pop, and I had it, and that goes a long ways. And my sister and I had enough that we split it so that we're both going to stitch this project, which will be super fun. And we won't start it till next year sometime, maybe in the summer. The colors are so spectacular that it would be a really fun summer stitch. But I got enough going on, and I've got some Christmassy winter plans that I want to dive into before I go into that one. So that one was just a haul and slide a pattern and slide some fabric into it to reserve it. This one, I bought the pattern. It's a printed pattern because it was a PDF. So I'll just show you my copy here, another Satsuma Street, and I've looked at this one for years, and I've seen it stitched up in other pictures, and this picture doesn't do it justice. It is so, again, bright and colorful and happy, and I just happened to have a piece of natural linen in my stash that would work, and I came across it again on a day where I needed something happy to look forward to. and I try not to shop when I'm feeling that way, but let's be honest, it happens sometimes. Anyways, $6 or $7 later, I had this awesome pattern. It's not an expensive one if you buy the PDF. In fact, most of her patterns are very reasonable. But I'm really excited to do this one. And I'm not going to wait till December to start this one. I've decided that I'll just have one day a week where I stitch Christmas. And it gives me an excuse to start this since I have everything I need to get going on it. This is my linen. It's just a natural Zweigart, probably from Hobby Lobby or something like that. And, oh my goodness, the colors are gonna be magic. It's so happy. It's just gonna be happy to stitch. And it will coordinate with the, I think I have it in here. Oh yes, my very exciting start. Last year she did a stitch along, which I clearly followed along religiously with. But the color palette is the same. The actual stitches are the same. So even so, I am not stitching it on the same color linen, the designs will coordinate. And so I'm just going to stitch this one to hang in here because my sewing space is my rainbow space. And I will hang both the banner and then set the pillow in here as well. So there'll be a coordinated Christmas eventually. Her stuff goes pretty quickly. It's pretty color blocky rather than a lot of blended stitches. So I think it'll stitch pretty quickly. And I don't have any plans to get that done this season. I just want to stitch on it and enjoy. And I'm finding myself wanting that more and more as I get deeper into this last quarter of the year, that I'm like, okay, just need to like step back, and because everything else is so busy, allow myself the space to do what feels good instead of what my brain thinks I should be doing. Anyways, the last thing that we got, well, next to the last thing that we got is, well, I got. She didn't get this. You'll remember I showed this design, which I absolutely love, and I have not started yet. At this point, it will probably be a December start. I was hoping to start it in November, but I'm running into another supply chain issue with the silks, and I do want to use the silks on this one. It's so beautiful and classic that I want to stick with the silks. I love the sheen that they get, and they're so buttery to work with. It's absolutely lovely. I did find 3 of them. So I already had my linen, which is fawn. And these are the 2 colors for the, I don't know what it is. It's not really a holly border, but the border. And this is the lighter color of the flowers. And the darker color I tried to find a substitute for, because she has a lot of beautiful silks at Threadneedle Street, but there just wasn't one they all went pretty brick. Undertoned, and I want more of a rich cranberry, even into a more of a maroon color to pair with this. And so if I can find the called for, I will go with that. Anyway, so I'm still working on gathering for this project. I'm not ready to start it yet, which is okay. It's okay. Lord knows I got enough to do and keep me busy. But this was our exciting, like, all of those are super fun, but our exciting part of haul was building a whole new project. And there's a part of me that really wants to save it for New Year, New Start. So it could be, because Oh, I'll just show it to you. It's very wintry. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness, she's so beautiful. This is the Snow Maiden. Oh my goodness, she's so blurry. Don't focus on me. Also, please forgive my janky nails. I did not clean them up before my video. Here, let me show you them up close. Anyways, we saw her. And one thing Threadneedle Street has that I haven't seen, and I haven't been in that many cross stitch shops, let's be honest, a few. But when I had never seen pretty much a full collection of the Mirabilias and or Corbets before, and Threadneedle Street has that, which is fantastic. So we spent our first chunk of time in her shop rifling through all of the Mirabilias, and when we came across this one, we both gasped. We were like, oh, she's so pretty, and look at the detail in her lower skirt and those flowers, and her hair is so cool. And we didn't realize that there are a couple of silks involved, so we did not fully kit, but we got close to fully kitting. Anyways, so then we started pulling all these linens for floss tosses and pulling floss, and because these colors, don't they just scream like frosty winter and cold wind, and I don't know, something about them just hits a sweet spot for me right now. And we tried out, I would say, around 8 different linens, maybe more. And we had them all laid out in front of us, and we would just like move the clump of floss from linen to linen. And when we found this one, we both were like, get rid of all the rest. I don't care how beautiful they are. This is the one. Because look at the colors. Oh my goodness. It is, So we were originally looking for something icy blue because she's gorgeous on icy blue, and the colors were gorgeous on icy blue. But when we got her on the purple, oh my goodness, most of her edges, if not all of her edges, are very aqua, very blue-green. And she's just gonna pop. She's gonna be so gorgeous. And so even though part of me is like, oh, this would be a perfect new start, and I haven't committed to this. This is just like brain ramblings coming out into words. But even though she would be a perfect January start, part of me wants to jump on the, hey, it snowed somewhere train. Here's my snowy project. Even though I may never see snow here unless I drive into the mountains. We'll see. I don't know. We're new to the area. But Portland is you cannot count on a white Christmas or a white winter at all. Last year, I think we saw one flurry in the sky and it never stuck. No, that's a lie. In February, we had one day where it stuck for a few hours. And that was fun. But that's a pretty lame winter as far as someone who enjoys winter and snow days and things like that. Anyways, my sister and I are both leaning towards the start it now, why wait train. We have no beads for her yet. She does have a few beads, and like I said, she also has 3 Karen water lilies, so silks, which after using a couple Karens with my Bella Filipina, I'm excited to see what they are. Those are gorgeous silks. I'm very excited. Also, I don't know if I've showed you this, but this is how I kit up. I don't do full skeins of floss with every project unless it's something that I'm really concerned about it being dye lot specific. Most DMCs, if you finish the project within a year, you're going to be fine. You're not going to see dramatic changes unless you're working with like some of my floss in my stash was gifted to me 20 years ago and it's very old, but it's still perfectly good. But I have run into some significant dye lot changes over a long stretch of time. But year to year, like within a year or two of each other. I've not experienced personally anyways any dramatic dye lot changes in the DMC. I have found on a couple of my overdyes that they can be quite significantly different, but they're hand dyed, so that, I mean, that's kind of a given. Also, I'm noticing that my hair is chaos. Which, you know, that's okay. We have no power. But anyways, so typically with DMC kitting up, I just cut 3 or 4 lengths, not even that, 1 or 2 lengths, really, depending on the project, of each color. And I like to use the loop method. That's why they're really long. So really I get a very reasonable stitching length, but they, you know, it's basically a yard folded in half for the actual stitching. I really like the loop method with DMCs or solid colors. It's just so easy. And so I put a couple links and I write down all the colors and then the name of the project, and then I just roll that up into my fabric, and that's my kit. So I have had a couple people say, oh wow, I can't imagine kitting up full skeins for so many projects. I can't either. I can't afford that. I don't do that. So when I do kit things up, it's just basically color swatches, not full skeins, unless it's obvious that it's going to take much more. And then sometimes I'll toss a skein of, like on this one, whatever this color is gonna probably take a full skein, maybe more. So that might be a good one to throw an entire little skein in. But these ones in here, they're probably not gonna take a full skein. The lengths I have may be enough. It just depends on where the colors fall. So anyways, that's how I kit up. This is a very weird haul. It's like information overload. Oh, and then I also got these cute scissors because I've been dying to have some black scissors through all of October. My scissors just didn't feel spooky like my projects. So now I have spooky black scissors. And that's excellent. But they're neutral and classy. They can also go any other time of year. Because let's be honest, I don't have a pair of scissors for every season. Okay, so my plans for, let's see, have I covered my stuff? I think so. So my plans for the next couple of weeks, I do have some traveling. My parents are moving to Nebraska, which is a big move from Eastern Washington. So I have plans to go help them pack before Thanksgiving. And then of course we have Thanksgiving, and yeah, life is going to be busy, but I definitely have plans to cross stitch. So I want to work on my turkey and Stargazer. And then I think I will also, well, on Sundays I'll bring back Into Dreamland. And I think I had thought about working on Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow again, which I started the upper banner on in September. So if I could get even that top banner completed, I mean, that might be a little ambitious because some of those pumpkins are large. They have a lot of stitching in them. But we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Either way, I would like to stitch on that. And then I would like to start setting a little time aside for my one Christmas stitch. And then also I have a goal to get 2 little ornaments stitched this month. So I have this big old packet of ornament patterns that I've been collecting from magazines and shops and various places. Golly, I would say for at least the last 5 years. And it's not extensive. That makes it sound like it's a vast collection, but it's really not. It's just been if I see something in the season, I'll be like, oh, I like that. That would make a cute ornament. And I went through a phase where we couldn't afford to buy anything, and so I would go to the library and borrow the cross-stitch magazines and make copies so that I could have things to stitch. So I have a few of those in here, and I went through and found a couple of cute little linens from my stash to work on. And let's see, do I have a way to show you this without showing the chart? That's the problem with a lot of magazine charts, is that sometimes they don't even have a formal picture, and then when they do, a lot of the times it's right next to the chart, which, you know, it's not really a problem unless you're trying to protect the designs from the internets. Well, fiddlesticks. I have this cute magazine. It's really more of a book than a magazine, and I don't see original pictures. Fiddle. Maybe they're in the front, like an index? I should have figured this out beforehand. No, they're not there. They're too tiny. Well, it's a Margaret Sherry, and her artwork is so delightful. And you can see I have plans to someday make many of her projects. Let's see, this is just a picture. It shows you some of her artwork. They are just so happy. And I grew up with a mother who adored Susie Zoo. So we had Susie Zoo stickers. She had Susie Zoo checks. She had Susie Zoo cross stitches. Susie Zoo was the artwork of my childhood in a lot of ways. That and Debbie, Mom, and Mary Inglebright. Oh my goodness. I literally have a book of Mary Inglebright cross stitch. There are a couple of them I really like. I don't care if it's totally dated. They're cute. Maybe next year. Anyways, she has these cute little ornaments in the back, and I'm trying to, here, I'll show you one of the bigger pieces just so you get the idea. They're absolutely charming. They're just so cute. I don't know why I'm drawn to them. I think they're adorable. I don't know. They're super cute. Anyways, so there are a few little ornaments, same art style, that they're little mice. And my grandma, before her hands got bad, was a beautiful painter, actually. She would paint porcelain ornaments of these little mice, and her whole tree would be covered in these sweet little mice ornaments, and they were beautiful. They weren't just like color block painting. They had detail and whiskers and shading, and they're so fragile. The porcelain is so thin on them. They're just very delicate, and so I grew up, seeing those on her tree every year. And at one point, when you could still, I'm sure you can still find porcelain ornaments to paint, but I haven't seen any good ones, honestly, in a long time. When I was probably in my early teens, they were still available pretty regularly, and my mom took us, and we selected a few, and then she bought us paints, and we painted our ornaments. They're some of my favorite ornaments, that and my cross-stitch ones, and then a couple that my dad's mom gave me when I was little, Hallmark ornaments. They're so cute. They're little peanuts ornaments. But like, those are my favorite ornaments to put on the tree. I guess because they have meaning, right? They're not just random ornaments. Glass balls are great, and I definitely put them on my tree too, but they don't have any emotional value to me. Anyway, so I like these little mouse ornament stitch ups for the nostalgia, I guess, that they invoke. So I would like to work on one of those, and then I have this, oh heavens, it's all clipped together. My organization being my worst enemy. A couple years ago, I bought the PDF for, and you can't even see them because they're so dark, but these cute little ornaments by Samantha Purdy Textile. It's all blurred together in one word. But they're super cute, and they'll just stitch up so fast. This one has a little owl on it. This one's a little like cabin with the woods and a little moon. So just little nature themes, and I like the skaters. I think they're really sweet. We're not hockey fans, so I probably won't do those, but I'd love to do a skater and, you know, a couple of those. They'll be real quick stitches, but they're really cute. And then this old magazine from 1991, November, December, Cross Stitch Country Crafts. I, for one, adore this tree. Someday I will stitch that up and put whatever year it happens to be there, because I think the detail is delightful. And my mom did a series of stockings. Our stockings when we grew up were done out of these magazines, and this really coincides with the art style that those stockings were done out of. Someday, maybe I'll make one for my husband, and then we would have matching stockings, but we have quilted ones for now. But I like these little, it has these little candy corns. Those are not candy corns. Candy canes. Got Halloween on the brain still. Oh my goodness. Anyways, this magazine has some cute little Christmassy charts in it as well. So I've got a few to work with, and like I said, I'm going to try to get 2 done this month. So I would like to fully finish. A month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, I did a finish parade, and in that I had a couple of ornaments that I have completed stitching on, but I've not turned into anything. So I would like to, by the end of this month, stitch 2 more ornaments and then fully finish all 4. So that I have 4 new ornaments to put on my tree this year, which I don't even have. We have to go tree shopping on Black Friday because our tree went the way of all the earth last year. It died a dramatic death by dropping branches. Like it was a real tree or something. Oh my goodness. It gave us a good run. Anyways, yeah, that's all I've got for you today, you guys. So predominantly Thanksgiving-y stitches, but it's kind of all over the board at this point. It's like whatever's feeling good within a certain grouping of patterns. So it'll be a surprise to see what I actually did next time we meet. But then I do want to get those ornaments going, and I've got a little bit of traveling. My sister is having a baby, which is very, very exciting. And so we're doing a baby shower for her this month. And yeah, life is full. Life is good. Despite crazy windstorms, which fortunately was not as crazy as other storms we've lived through. So not that big a deal. More exciting than anything. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I've had a good time going through everything. I always have a good time going through everything. I've loved your comments. It's been so much fun. Some of you had some delightful stories to share, but there were so many just delightful conversation starter comments this time through, and I've really enjoyed that. I feel bad that sometimes it can be a week before I get to responding to them, but I do read them all, and I absolutely love hearing your stories and getting to know you all better and starting to recognize those names still. I want to say real quick a special thank you to a couple of people who have given me shout outs, Seattle Stitcher and Bougie Stitchers. I went and watched both of your videos, and I had not watched Bougie Stitcher before. They were so delightful. They were super fun, and I subscribed right away. So thank you for the kind words, both of you, and thanks for putting out good content. It's great. It's such a fun community. I'm still so enjoying this. I feel a little, I don't know why, my brain, I just don't feel like I'm forming coherent thoughts right now, but I so enjoy doing this. I so enjoy sharing with you, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. I don't know that I will do another video before Thanksgiving. We'll just see how it goes. The schedule has me doing, if everything goes to plan, we'll see you before Thanksgiving. If poop hits the fan, we'll see you after Thanksgiving. But sometime later this month for sure. And I hope you are all well and that life is treating you great and that you get some good stitches in. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.